Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Short Sports Show. I'm your host, Daniel Short. We got a lot to talk about today. A lot of high-scoring games in the NFL and also in college football. And a few NFL players set huge records, including Calvin Boy Better Watch Your Mouth Johnson. What a great game he had against the Dallas Cowboys. Also, the Major League Baseball World Series continued to impress with Game 5 tonight in St. Louis. Some shakeups in the BCS rankings. We'll get into that in just a second. And also the NBA season does start tonight. Now, I know last week I said college basketball started. I got a little bit messed up. When I brought it up on my computer, I just assumed, because when I clicked scores, I assumed that it was, that day because it was all this excitement going on. No. It's this Friday, which we will talk about in Friday's episode. And was Kevin Hart playing football this just Saturday? Was he playing football? We'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, the college football, crazy week. Alabama, we'll start off with the scores. Alabama, number 1, defeated Tennessee 45-10. Florida State just dominated NC State. So much for the upset rank, being on the upset alert. They defeated North Carolina State 49-17. And number 5, Missouri dropped by South Carolina in double overtime, 27-24. Stanford defeated Oregon State 20-12. Miami came back. What a crazy game that was, with Duke Johnson just being an absolute beast of a running back for Miami, 24-21 over Wake Forest. Baylor dominates Kansas 59-14. Clemson, basically the same thing they've been doing all year other than Florida State, 40-27. Oklahoma knocks down Texas Tech 38-30. And that looks like about it of actually good games. And sadly, my TCU Horned Frogs just absolutely, oh man, what a sad day. No offense. So I'm not gonna make excuses. My team lost to Texas, and it's such an embarrassing feeling, but gotta move on. This season has been an absolute disaster for TCU, and I can only just wait for next year. It's terrible. Anyways, BCS standings came out Sunday night, and there's been a few shakeups, and one major thing I disagree with that happened. Here are the rankings. Number 1, Alabama, stays the same like they have been and will continue to stay until they lose a game. But then here's when the shakeup happened. Oregon, now after being jumped by Florida State last week, has now jumped over Florida State. Oregon is now number 2, while Florida State drops to number 3. And, I can understand why they moved Oregon back up, because of Oregon playing, UCLA, who was in the top 15, while Florida State played a team that was not ranked. But Oregon, even though the score was 42-14, it seems like they kind of it doesn't look like they dominate teams like Florida State does. It seems like Florida State's just, both offensively and defensively, they've got it together. They will dominate anybody. At Oregon, it seems like, yes, offensively, they're going to score a whole lot of points. They're going to make you have to make adjustments each and every quarter. But defensively, it seems like they're a lot less talented than Florida State is. And I kind of think Florida State should still be number 2 in the rankings, but we'll just have to see. Oregon does play, oh man, slipped my mind, but Oregon does play Stanford. There we go, Stanford, who is number 5 in the rankings. So that'll be a really good game. And one of those teams will have to drop out of the top 10, or well, not Oregon if they lose, but one of them will drop. And Florida State plays Miami, who's number 7 in the nation. So right there, 2 huge games right there, which we will talk about more on Friday's episode. But this is what we've been wanting to see, these high-ranked teams going against each other. Since teams play, those weak teams and all that other stuff. Ohio State is at number 4, while Stanford is at 5. Baylor goes up to 6, which again, they have not played anybody. Bad. Number 7, Miami. Then number 8, Clemson. Number 9, Missouri. Missouri just dropped 2 spots after losing to South Carolina, which it seems like that's okay because they did have a backup quarterback in, and they kept it close. So I don't think they should have dropped too much. Or wait, no, they were number 5, weren't they? Either way, still in the top 10. Oklahoma moves up to the top 10 with a win over Texas Tech. Then number 11, Auburn, A&M, LSU, South Carolina, and Texas Tech at number 15. Number 16, Fresno State, Northern Illinois, Oklahoma State, and Louisville, and UCLA to top 15 through 20. And then finally, 21, Michigan, Michigan State, and then UCF, Wisconsin, and Notre Dame to finish out the rankings, which it seems like the bottom from 20, or yeah, about maybe 16 through 25. It looks like those are just kind of they're just there. They're not really any good teams. They're just kind of just there because it seems like they just go up and down. They just struggle each and every week. So nothing too crazy there, but I am looking forward to Oregon and Stanford and the Miami Florida State game. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be epic. But Kevin Hart. Now, most people know Kevin Hart, comedian, short, not tall, just very funny guy. Well, we had a similar player that plays for Rice. He's a walk-on. He's 4'9" running back. Took his first snap in a win, 45-7 win over UTEP for a 1-yard gain. And at first I was seeing this all over Twitter and, saying this guy is 4'9" and walk on. He makes a, incredible play and all this hype on him. And like, who is this guy? And then I watched the video. It was just a 1-yard gain. Now, this is huge because you know how players say, oh, you're too short, you can't play, you're too this, too that, very picky about other things. And at 4'9", he took a snap, and yes, it was only 1-yard gain, but that's gotta be huge for him, just being on the scout team most of his college career, and now, playing in a real game and taking his first handoff, and yes, it was 1 yard, but I'm sure that 1 yard felt like a touchdown for him just to be able to step on that field and actually play a real snap in Division I collegiate football, because most teams in Division I and probably even Division II would not even look at a person that is 4'9". And I just thought the comparison of Kevin Hart being small, and if Kevin Hart was playing football, that'd probably be him right there. So awesome for him, and yeah, best of luck to whatever he does throughout the year. And then a Division III school, Western Connecticut running back set a NCAA all-division single-game rushing record with 455 rushing yards. Now, let's not get that confused. That is the all-division. That means every division, Division I, Division II, blah, 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 blah. But LT, LaDainian Tomlinson from TCU, at least we can have one bright light right there, does still have the FBS record, which is Division I, which they mainly count because, that's the better competition, quote, quote, bunny ears. He has it with 406 yards against UTEP in 1999. Oh boy, were those the good old days. And then OU lost their big power back, Trey Millard. He was a fullback, but he played running back, and he really did some work against TCU sometimes. After tearing his knee ligaments versus Texas Tech. So that is a huge loss for Oklahoma. This guy was your typical just power back. He was huge, and it's going to hurt them going to finish the year. NFL. Transition over to the NFL. College football, great week, better week coming up. But the NFL had some crazy things happen. We'll go over some scores, and then I'm going to go on a little bit of a little rant on Dez Bryant, why he needs to change his attitude, but that's just in a little bit. But we're going throughout the scores. Cincinnati Bengals defeat the New York Jets 49-9, and the saddest thing happened. This entire week, I started Andy Dalton for my fantasy team. And then I said, right on Sunday, I said, you know what? Tom Brady against Miami, he's probably going to have better luck. And they were saying the Jets defense was pretty good this year. So I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll start Tom Brady. He's good. Tom Brady does terrible. He only throws for like what does it say? 116 yards and a touchdown. Absolutely terrible. While Andy Dalton goes and just has the greatest game he's ever had in the NFL with 325 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, and 4 to a receiver who I dropped in the middle of the week. Very depressing week for me for football again. But Bengals do get the win, and the receiver who had 4 touchdowns was Marvin Jones. He had 8 receptions, 4 touchdowns, and 122 yards. The Kansas City Chiefs remain undefeated against the Cleveland Browns, 23-17. And the Patriots defeat Miami Dolphins 27-17 as well. We'll get to the major game, which is the Cowboys and Lions, in just a bit, because I want to tie that in to what I'm going to talk about, Calvin Johnson and also Dez Bryant. The Saints dominate the Bills 35-17, and the Giants are now on a 2-game winning streak with a 15-7 win over the Philadelphia Eagles. And Matt Barkley is absolutely terrible. The beginning of last year, I had predicted Matt Barkley would win the Heisman, USC would win the national championship, and Chargers would draft Matt Barkley. That is what I predicted. And none of those things happened, and I'm glad none of those things happened as well. So, just thought I'd throw that out there. 49ers, why would you do this to the poor Jacksonville Jaguars? I mean, everybody else has gone light on them, and you guys decide, hey, let's just go out there and just completely dominate them and just beat them up, even though they're already beat up enough. 49ers defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars 42-10 in London, which is stupid that they're in London. The Steelers can't get it done against Terrell Pryor's record-breaking day. Final score is 21-18. Terrell Pryor set the NFL record for the longest run by any quarterback in the modern era with a 93-yard touchdown run against the Steelers, which, that's huge in itself, but he had a bad day passing. They really didn't need a pass at all. He had 106 total yards on the ground, with obviously that 93-yard did most of the work, I guess you can say. But he was 10 for 19, 88 yards, and no touchdowns. So they didn't really need to pass too much in this game. Broncos, again, just keep rolling on. 45-21 over the Washington Redskins. And the Cardinals somehow defeat the Atlanta Falcons 27-13. And one thing I did want to talk about was last week we talked about how Tony Gonzalez, he was not going to get traded. Falcons are going to get it together, blah, blah, blah. Now it looks like what the trade deadline is today. I know it's 4 o'clock Eastern time, so that's 1 o'clock Pacific time. So I do think something's got to happen, because you got to think, he came back to win a Super Bowl. He didn't come back to just, keep friends with everybody. He's a good team player, but that's not why he's in the NFL right now. He's there to win a Super Bowl and come, that's the reason he came back. So you got to think, he's got to talk to the general manager and the head coach and say, look, we're 2-5 right now. We got the Saints in our division. Panthers are kind of still unpredictable right now. You got to let me go. You got to take me somewhere. I got to get traded to a team that has a chance to make not only for sure the playoffs, but the Super Bowl, and hopefully it doesn't go to the Broncos. I'm not saying I know anything about teams wanting to get him, but I'm just saying he's got to get traded if he wants to win a Super Bowl. But Cardinals did win against the Falcons 27-13, and also the Packers and the Vikings 44-31. Packers get the win, and Christian Ponder, terrible once again. And so the main game, Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions. The Cowboys had the lead, 30 to something, whatever, 24. And there's only, 13 seconds left or so in the game. I was like, Cowboys got it. Congratulations, Cowboys. Woohoo! Great game. Dez Bryant, Calvin Johnson are both of my fantasy teams. Awesome. Cool. Then the Lions somehow just came back with just it's crazy. It's crazy how they did. They had that long pass to Derman. I think his last name is Derman. Who absolutely smoked Brandon Carr on the left side. and then had that huge gain for Calvin Johnson, stopped at the 1 yard line, and Matthew Stafford running down, the field saying, we're going to spike it. But he gave some verbal, it looked like he might have gave some verbal or maybe non-verbal hand sign to the offensive line to say, look, it looks like we're spiking the ball to, stop the time, think about what we're going to do. But they end up actually going to jump. He's going to jump over the offensive line and score the game-winning touchdown. And at first, I couldn't really tell. I was listening to the announcers, they're saying he had to give some kind of sign to let the offensive line know he can't just, he's not going to just jump. But when you watch the replay over and over again, it looks like the offensive line doesn't even react other than the center just, snapping the ball to the court to Matthew Stafford. So it makes you think, did he just jump over just because he saw like the defense was just not in the right spot or something like that? I don't know. It's pretty crazy, but Matthew Stafford jumps over, gets the game-winning touchdown. Whether it was the first effort or the second effort, can't really tell. But he does get the touchdown. And Calvin boy, better watch your mouth, Johnson. Oh man, what a great game he had. 329 yards receiving. 329 yards receiving and a touchdown. And Dez Bryant on the other side, 72 yards. 2 touchdowns though. But it's Calvin Johnson, you are amazing. He is the greatest NFL wide receiver right now. Now I'm not going to go on and say he's better than Jerry Rice. That's still to be determined. And I think anybody that makes that argument right now, whether First Take is doing it, I don't know if they are. I'm not watching it, but I'm just saying they probably will. But I think it's stupid for anybody to bring up that conversation just yet. Wait until Calvin Johnson's season, or his career, not his season, but his career is over with. Then we will go and compare not only stats, but what they did on the field, like how did they affect the game in itself. Then that's when you start comparing players. I think it's really dumb after a year to 4 years, no matter, I'm just giving examples, how long the player's been in the NFL. I think it's way too early to start comparing them. Are they the next Jerry Rice, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Johnny Unitas, stuff like that. I think once their career is over with, then you don't go and decide, you can't. You go and bring up the argument for that. But Dez Bryant, here we go. Quick little rant. I'm not gonna make this too long. I'm gonna try not to. But Dez Bryant, he goes off on the field throughout basically the entire game, or not really. It was about the second half of the game. And when it really stuck out to me, because I was going through the games. I wasn't, just watching just this game, but I was watching part of it. And I remember when it started. To me, this is when it started. Is when Terrence Williams caught the ball. I think it was a 45-yard catch, but it was just a quick slant. Tony Romo got it to him, 45, 50 yards, whatever it may be, and it was a touchdown. And Terrence Williams just pushed the safety. It didn't even look like he just barely touched him, and the safety just broke his ankles on himself and just fell down. But when he fell down, I'm sorry, I just got sidetracked. Goes in touchdown, but at first it seemed Dez Bryant was, pointing his hand in the air, yes, touchdown, great, awesome, right? But then he goes to the sideline, starts yelling at Romo, starts yelling at the coaches, just basically he looked like he was acting like Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens, great skills, awesome receiver, cries when he doesn't get the ball or feels like he needs the ball, certain times, and starts yelling, starts arguing with people just because being selfish. That's what it looked like to me Dez Bryant was doing. And it's so crazy why players have to just be like that. It's just like you have talent around your team, and then you have to just be selfish about it. And then that was the first time I saw it. Then the second time, which was basically the last time I saw it, is when him and Jason Witten were going at it. Now, I couldn't read the lips. I didn't know what they were saying. The commentators didn't say anything about it. They were just, even though the camera was right on him, they just seemed like they just ignored him. And DeMarcus Ware broke it up, was in the middle, and he was grabbing Dez Bryant's jersey and just, telling him calm down, something like that. And it's like, I don't understand why he was going so crazy. And then he comes out and says that was positive, you know, that was all positive. That it was him showing his love to the game. I don't understand where yelling at your quarterback, even though when the quarterback just threw a touchdown and is doing pretty good, you know, when you have 2 possessions that go from 45 to 50 yards of touchdowns on 2 plays on those 2 possessions, and you're scoring, but yet you're yelling at the quarterback, why am I not getting the ball? Why am I not getting this piece of the pie here? To me, I don't see how that's any positive when that's just all negative. And then yelling at Jason Witten, who I don't like Jason Witten, because I think that Jason Witten and Romo were the reason T.O. left, but that's another conversation. But it just seems like there was just a whole lot of just jealousy and just being stupid on Dez Bryant's part. Now, he's got a whole lot of skills. I still love Dez Bryant. I think he just needs to calm down just a little bit on what he's doing and just slow down. Just don't take things too serious and have fun with the game. He's just, I don't know. That was my little rant. Didn't come out the way I exactly wanted it to, other than just Dez Bryant is acting like T.O. and needs to look and say, look, this is where T.O. is. Could have had many more years playing with other teams and probably winning championships if he would have stayed somewhere else. But he decided to be selfish and fight all the time, argue with people, and now he can't find a job, which he is old now, but you got my point. So we'll move on. Packers linebacker Clay Matthews should return November 10th, which will be against the Philadelphia Eagles? Wow. Philadelphia Eagles. And he will get, he injured his thumb, a few weeks ago now, and will have nails or something like that taken out of his thumb, November 4th when the team is playing against the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football, and then should return the following week when they play the Eagles. So good news for Clay Matthews and the Packers to have some type of defense, because they gave up, 31 points against the Vikings, who are struggling on offense, other than Adrian Peterson. Well, he's struggling too. He got, 70 yards last night? So, Major League Baseball news. Here we go. Red Sox tie up the series 2-2 with a 4-2 win over the St. Louis Cardinals, thanks to Johnny Gomes, who started over Shane Victorino, and later hit a 3-run home run. He was 0 for 9 in the series, and now, you know, what a way to come out. Just out of anybody, you would have thought maybe David Ortiz hits another home run, someone else, maybe Gerald Satalamacchia would hit it, but no, Johnny Gomes hits the 3-run home run to seal the deal and win the game, the next game, which is tonight, Game 5 in St. Louis, 5 o'clock Pacific time, and John Lester and Adam Wainwright will be on the mound, and this is a huge game right here. Huge game for both teams, because the last 2 games are going to be in Boston, and you know the crowd's going to be crazy. If the Red Sox win tonight, series is over. I think they win it. Game 6, done. But if I guess, yeah. No. Okay, here, I'm trying to make sure I'm saying this right. So, Cardinals, if they win tonight, then I think, it goes 7 games, but if the Red Sox win, I think it only goes 6 games tonight. So I feel like it's all going to be determined tonight. And St. Louis knows how important this is, both the team and the fans. So they're going to be probably the most craziest they have ever been all year, because they know how important this game is, because the last 2 games being in Boston is going to be very, very tough for the St. Louis Cardinals. So, but again, go Red Sox. Going for the Red Sox. The NBA season starts tonight with 3 games, and this has to be the regular season. I've been looking because there's so many preseason games. I am about 99.9% positive this is the actual first game of the year, and it's the first game. Orlando Magic rebuilding their team and hoping to have some type of success. I don't think it's going to be too much success for the Orlando Magic, but they are on the road at Indiana Pacers. So that should be an okay game, but I think that's only going to be for people in those regions that can actually watch the game, unless you have that NBA package on like DirecTV or something. But that game's going to be kind of boring anyways. Then the second game, Derrick Rose returns Chicago Bulls at the ugly Miami Heat, who I will never love ever again. Ever. I hate the Heat. Bulls at the Heat tonight. That'll be a good game. Hopefully Derrick Rose does pretty good and can actually play and stay healthy. Then the last game is the Los Angeles Clippers, quote, bunny ears on the road, even though they play in the exact same stadium, unquote, versus or at the Lakers. Kobe Bryant. Will he play? I don't know. Actually, I didn't even look that up. I probably should have. Kobe Bryant. That'd be cool. But really, I don't really care for any of those games other than when the Spurs play. And I think they play the 30th. That sounds right. 30th. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, that's the basketball season. And also NCAA college basketball. That's what I was talking about last week. It does start on Friday night with 137 games. So Friday night, not going anywhere. You got tons of college basketball, and I am pumped. I love college basketball. I really get into it beginning of the year, then middle of the year, then it's kind of just boring to watch, even when I'm watching my team. Then once it gets to the playoffs, that's when it gets intense, and I freaking love it. TCU is my team in college basketball. TCU is my team through everything, but I know we suck at basketball. It seems like this year we've sucked at every sport for some weird reason. But I think we brought in a really good recruiting class. We're 34 in the nation, so I'm pretty sure about not 20, about 10 to 15 games in, I think we can get some offensive going. Defensively, we were okay-ish, so hopefully we can step it up. But Big 12 is crazy. And Syracuse is my second team, college basketball. They were my first team, but then I fell in love with TCU, blah, blah, blah. So Syracuse, also my second team. Watch them. They're now in the ACC conference, which is the basketball conference. Like, how the SEC's football conference? Well, ACC basketball that's the main conference to go to. So that'll be fun to watch on Friday. And also Friday, even better, my next show is on Friday. Make sure you guys tune into that, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And that way we will talk about, that episode, we will talk about the touching story with the kid who gave his jersey number up to his friend for a very special reason. I was going to do it today, but I thought, you know what, Friday, I thought I'd just do it on Friday. Friday sounds good to me, especially because it is, November 1st on Friday? Yes, it is. So that's even better. So we'll do it November 1st. This Friday. Make sure you guys tune in on Spreaker.com. Make sure you guys follow me on Spreaker.com. Help me go with the iHeartRadio and all the other good stuff so I can make this my job. And also YouTube, if you missed this episode or any other episodes, make sure you go on YouTube, type in the Short Sports Show. You'll find my videos there. Also on YouTube, I have exclusive videos just for YouTube that I make. Mainly discussion videos of what you guys think on different things. And, but you gotta go, I'm not gonna tell you what they are. You guys gotta go check them out. So make sure you go on YouTube, go check that out. Make sure you like and subscribe over there. Make sure you follow here on Spreaker.com to listen more and tune into other things. Also, Facebook, awesome way to, find out what I'm talking about and what's, coming up for the next episode. On Facebook, The Short Sports Show, and on Twitter, where I just post a whole lot of random stuff, what's going on during different days, and all that other good stuff. So on Twitter, at @short_sports 24-7. And I will see you guys this Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, Spreaker.com. Follow, YouTube, everything else. Deuces, I'm out. Thanks you guys for listening.